Charlie Brown.
There we go, Marni. There we go. Oh, hello, Marni.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Really good.
Well, we're starting this off with the typical OhHellos. But Marni, we were introduced through our mutual friend Julie Fleischer some time ago, and we've talked a few times, and would love to just have a better understanding of what excites you about what we're building at OhHello.io.
I absolutely am a huge fan of mentoring and coaching, and I've just personally participated in a lot of other mentoring programs in the past through universities. And, I've really seen the value of not only mentoring as a mentor, of giving back, but the value of reverse mentoring and how much I've learned from all the amazing people I've had the honor to mentor.
That's a great response. And also, I'm assuming just because I'm a huge fan of what you post on LinkedIn and just the consistently paying it forward and giving it back. What kind of advice would you give to your younger self, to your 25, 30, 35-year-old self?
Definitely don't worry so much. I should probably give that same advice to my current self as well. Go and stay for senior week after graduation. That's younger than 25. But really, overall, I'd say your career is a journey and it's not a destination. And your first or second step is not going to be your last. And your life is going to evolve, and your values and kind of what's important to you. And don't feel like you need to make something work if it isn't.
I really respect that. You don't always have to make something work if it isn't working. Like that, you can. How you mentioned how everything's a journey. I completely agree. Like there's no linear path. It's just you make decision after decision every day, no matter what we're doing. It's just constant decisions. What we're going to say next, what we're going to do next, who we're going to speak with next, just every aspect. So really insightful. Who are some of the professional mentors in your world that have made an impact on you, Marni?
Well, definitely the first. So I never had the chance to have a formal mentor, which is why I think it's so important now that mentoring is a thing to give back. But what I'd say is, it was really some of my bosses, have made, have been important to me in my career, like Harold Goetz, who was my first boss when I was at MediaCom.
I know
Oh, yeah.
Harold Goetz from
Oh, really?
from selling out of home. My first, at Clear Channel, legitimately about 20 years ago. That's fantastic. That's phenomenal.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's amazing. He really took the step back to kind of make sure that I understood what I was doing as an assistant planner at Gray, working on Procter and Gamble, to really helping me think forward with my own career development. And then when I was at Mindshare, definitely Mike Stiles, who now works in marketing for, I think, the state of New Jersey.
cool,
He's just an amazing human being, and just would give you the shirt off his back if he
amazing.
if he could. And then I think now also Bill Duggan at the ANA has been a really huge mentor and an advocate for me, and just always help me open doors with my own career development.
Great. That's great. Thank you for paying it forward and mentioning those mentors, those uh, that made an impact on you. Marni, help us understand, who are you? Tell us who you are. I wanted to switch this episode up instead of just going in the typical flow. Help those watching, those listening, understand who you are as a person, as a mom, as an industry leader, as someone who's constantly paying it forward. Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my background is in marketing. I'd say that coupled with my passion for career development and paying it forward is what drives me. What I feel like everybody at some point in their marketing career is either forced to or wants to kind of reinvent themselves and figure out, either I was laid off, or not really loving what I'm doing anymore. And for me, that came when I was laid off from, advertising agency. And it was really like a great social experiment for me to understand like who I could count on in my network. And I was lucky and got my job with A&A a couple months later, but I still remember all of those people who really went out of their way to help me make connections and, and get interviews. And I felt that was a life-changing moment because I always want to be in that pay it forward position as long as I'm able to help people find, their next opportunity and to thrive in a career that they love.
Tell us about Marty's Midlife Marketers newsletter. And did that come about because of just your experiences?
It actually did. So it really started from my experience, as a midlife marketer, as early as in my, mid 30s, being forced to reinvent myself. And I knew agency life wasn't really for me anyway, but I was like, oh, my daughter, goes to kindergarten full time. I'll figure it out. And the decision was made for me. And kind of ever since going through that experience and then being at the A&A and seeing so many people go through this experience for the last 15 years, I ultimately became this go-to person for our members who were either in transition or were about to be in transition, or just was like, I'm not liking this anymore. And they would grab time with me and we would network and brainstorm some opportunities for them. So the whole concept of the midlife marketer is really around, starting at your mid to late 30s. You kind of have to reinvent yourself because you're either agency side and you look around you and there's very few people over 40, with, tons of layoffs, and it's still happening. Client side, the tenure of a CMO is very limited. And it's the same with, media companies as well. It's, you're kind of hit, a certain age and you're kind of forced to think about what's next. So I really felt like, what I want to try to again pay it forward and create this newsletter all around that midlife marketer concept and try to help other people figure out what's next and thrive in a career that they love.
Amazing. Tell us a little bit more about your role at the A&A. You've mentioned that a couple times about being at the A&A.
Yeah, so I've been at the A&A for 15 years last month. Most of my time, I ran a lot of our events, our committees, conferences, webinars, and the last couple of years, I work at the A&A Educational Foundation, which is all about bringing academia and the marketing industry together to really inspire the next generation of talent to
Love
want
it.
to come into marketing. So I run a lot of our partnerships there, like our Give the Gift of A&A University membership program, where companies donate A&A memberships to colleges and universities so they could get real live, content from us, and our fundraising gala, AF Honors Night, and some partnership programs and stuff.
That's awesome. Help us understand a little bit more about your skill set and just as a marketing maven, as a coach, as someone who understands this ecosystem and more importantly than understands the ecosystem, understands people. Just what differentiates your skill set in terms of what are your superpowers? You're a fantastic connector, and you're great at giving advice, and that's what I see. But would love to hear from you firsthand.
So I guess for me, I'm not only a mentor, but also, an ICF certified coach. I went back to school during the pandemic and got my career and executive coach certificate from NYU. And I'm also accredited from the ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation. It's the largest governing body in coaching, right? So I either coach or mentor a lot of folks around, career development, career transition, how do I get to the next level? And then also a lot of like leadership issues, how do I navigate difficult conversations? How do
Totally.
I manage up? How do I manage my direct reports? How do I set boundaries for myself? Work life balance. I actually even call it work life integration because,
It really is.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like you name it, I've either coached or mentored someone around the topic.
Totally. Marni, help us understand a little bit more about just a cause that's near and dear to you, because for those watching, those listening that aren't as familiar with OhHello.io, most of our mentors that are on the platform choose to, when they're bringing people up and bringing people forward, they're also donating a portion of the proceeds to 50 plus charities that are integrated into the platform. What is a cause that's near and dear to you, or causes near and dear to you?
So I picked two. Number one is obviously the A&A Educational Foundation, and we're a 501c3 charitable foundation, right? And that's my job, is to make sure that we have enough revenue to run. The cause that I'm linked to through OhHello is really important. St. Jude's Children's Hospital. I actually ran an event, an A&A event there about 10 years ago on site in Memphis, and was lucky enough after the event to be taken around on some private tours to see the hospitals, what they do for the families. It's just unbelievable. So, what they do for, for children who have cancer and their families as well. So that's definitely a cause important to me, and why I picked that on
Both are amazing
Hello.
causes. Marni, I want to be conscious of time, knowing that you have to jump in 1 minute. With that said, what kind of parting wisdom or advice would you give to everybody watching in a couple sentences or less?
I think taking advantage of either being a mentor and or a reverse mentor is really important. It's something that I wish I had earlier in my career development. I've had some informal mentors, but I think, having a formal mentor, and especially something on, a platform like OhHello, is kind of priceless. So definitely sign up.
You rock, Marni. Well, we're so stoked to have you on the platform. This was so fun. Thank you for taking the time out of your crazy, hectic day to record with us. Thank you, everybody, for watching, Marni, for listening. Thanks, Marni. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you. It was great.